Hello everyone, it is a great pleasure to meet all of you to present our project, Faith in Speculations, FIS. Thank you to ALTERSEA for this wonderful opportunity. This presentation is made with artificial intelligence voices. We will do the presentation together, myself Ranga Porbaya, Farid Stevie, and Devi Gia. This work explores content management challenges, facing oral stories regarding the mass killings in Indonesia in 1965. Faith in Speculations, FIS, is an interdisciplinary project that brings together contributors spanning the fields of art, history, social and political science, and software design. The project is initiated by two artists Ranga Porbaya and Siran Farid Stevie, from Yogyakarta, Indonesia. We are working with a multidisciplinary team, including platform developer Devi Gia, Wawan, and interpreter Shiani Selianto. The project displays a series of interactive maps of Indonesia, specially developed to plot historical instances of violence and unrest in the 1965 aftermath. This project explores the experiences of the survivor community and maps them out based on oral stories, archives, narratives, and collective memories. The project is built with TimeMap, an open-source software developed by London-based firm Forensic Architecture. Following the assassination of 6 Indonesian army generals on 1 October 1965, General Suharto, 1921–2008, took control and seized power. Massive arrests and mass murder occurred. Furthermore, the military government of General Suharto then restricted press publications in order to control what people read, Estrelita, 2010. Hence, in this sense, this project will contribute to complete the puzzle of Indonesian history and obtain a better comprehension of the events of 1965. In this project, the time map presents the struggle events and oral stories around Indonesia and other countries related to the communist purge in 1965. We have visualized oral stories and former political prisoners and survivor communities' experiences through mapping and interactive technologies. Our research shows we must center these experiences to address social inequities and initiated reconciliation. For the next part, Farid will present it to you.
Hi everyone. My name is Farid. The project started with our narratives of Luing Grubug, a mass grave and possibly execution site for communists. Our grandfather was disappeared and probably killed in Luing Grubug. We aim to reveal the mass graves locations and other significant sites related to the 1965 mass killings, narratives, and oral stories to spark reconciliation. As a relative to a surviving family, we adopted an investigative method of excavating personal histories, remapping memories, and identity in our artistic approach to reconnect the distances caused by the tragedy. Our body of work takes on the historical context of Indonesia's 1965 unrest. To fight the big monolithic narrative in modern Indonesian history, we need to broaden public participation in collecting the memories and counter-narratives and putting them on a sustainable platform. The oral story is universal and is as ancient as humankind. Before there was writing, there was storytelling. It occurs in every culture and from every age. It exists and existed to entertain, inform, and promulgate cultural traditions and values. The oral tradition can take many forms, including epic poems, chants, rhymes, songs, and more. Not all of these stories are historically accurate or even true. Truth is less important than providing cultural cohesion. It can encompass myths, legends, fables, religion, prayers, proverbs, and instructions. FIS's Oral Stories Documentation Initiative is designed to prevent the irretrievable loss of an invaluable source of historical and identity knowledge. As in that program, we are not solely interested in the documentation for its own sake. Instead, we seek to create a resource primarily for the survivor community to learn about their oral histories directly, now and in the future. The oral story aims to shed light on the past, inform the present, and inspire the future by reflecting on prior experiences. The oral story connects the past to the present, allowing humans to conceptualize historical and contemporary events.
Hi. I am Debbie. Our vision is where digital technologies can contribute to a more equitable, democratic, and sustainable society. This platform has been created using the data collected and shared by individual and survivors community, researchers, scholars, and human rights observers by considering cybersecurity risks on the data received. FIS's research model is adaptable to presenting data by multiple scales and timeframes from the split second to several years. Four main uses of digital cartography platform in human rights advocacy. 1. Representation of stories. 2. Data collection and tracking. 3. Using maps to explain and explore. 4. Organizing and mobilizing. It is intended to highlight the political urgency of this ongoing erasure of memory, and to aid militant research and action by delineating these problems. It also serves as an archive of all the places that have been lost in the last decade, where, despite experiencing tremendous difficulties in the face of the state's enormous resources, people managed to preserve their memories and building counternarratives. By mapping narratives spatially, a conflict situation is situated within its context, allowing practitioners and the community to respond more effectively. The same map can be generated regularly for comparison, or color coding for different filters, to document progress on human rights issues. One map provides a powerful visual representation of the spatial dimension of impact over time. The approach of process. The project of FIS also builds on the discipline of open source investigation. While its origins are disputed, intelligence has always drawn on publicly available information. The widespread availability of digital data has undoubtedly led to its expansion. While in the past, researchers were sometimes struggling to collect as many witness accounts as possible, testimonies are now available immediately and in large quantities through digital media. The challenge now lies in their overabundance. Open source and citizen investigation have recently grown in acceptance within legal processes. Furthermore, when investigating state violence, judicial forums may reach their limits. A forum never stands alone, but is embedded in institutional, legal, and geopolitical contexts. As the complexity of the current technological system increases, it is also a challenge for the platform to continue to innovate and synergize with future regulatory developments.
Challenges. For more than 30 years, the military government has forbidden any work or article that proposes a different version of history. The memory of the events of 1965 seems to have no place in society. Until today, Indonesian historiography is still struggling with a lack of sources. Therefore, to find alternative narration of the history of the events of 1965, this project includes the families of former political prisoners whose lives are affected by trauma and discrimination, which sometimes are challenging to elaborate the stories.
Current progress. We disseminate content through our social media channels and networks of support organizations to expand its coverage. Users can be engaged and mobilized through participatory mapping. In a broad sense, participatory mapping refers to maps that the user has contributed their narratives. One way of engaging the community is to use existing maps and add elements that the user finds useful. By building on such maps, the user can create its mapping resources tracking specific issues in several areas at once and over time. Through this experience, users gain ownership over the issues at hand and have a chance to acknowledge their own experiences and utilize their local area knowledge. Since this project started in November 2020, we have collected 108 narratives from 1918 to 2020. We have done the narrative collection process through interviews, listening to recorded interviews, and reading archives. We also use data from Google Analytics to determine the number of visitors to the FIS 65 website. Based on Google Analytics data, since it was first launched on January 1 to May 30, 2021, FIS has 1,077 visitors from 32 countries and 209 cities. Top 10 country users is Indonesia, the United States, South Korea, Japan, Australia, France, Netherlands, Singapore, Malaysia, and China. After being launched, the platform still needs further development, such as displaying photos, sounds, videos, and language options. We decided to use English on the FIS 65 website to reach broader visitors. I hope that we may get supports so we can continue developing this project. Thank you.